Hello, Mishpacha. It's Courtney, America's Jewish mother. I am here today with a Friday Reads video. I finished 2 books this week. I'm currently reading 3 books, and I actually DNF'd a book this week, you guys. Oh my gosh. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the book that I DNF'd, which is White Teeth by Zadie Smith. And this is a really big deal. I usually do not DNF books, but first of all, this is a fairly lengthy book. It probably doesn't look that long, but the writing, I don't know if you can see this. The print on the page is quite small, and the book is almost 450 pages long. So I felt like I gave this a very fair try. I DNF'd it a little bit after page 150, so I had read pretty much a third of this book, and I just was not getting along with it. It's a multi-generational story. It starts off talking about these 2 men who fought in World War II together, Archie Jones and Iqbal. What is Iqbal's last name? Samad. His name is Samad Iqbal. Yes, Iqbal is his last name. So they fought in World War II together, and now they both live in London, and both of them have married women who are much younger than they are. And I didn't find it a difficult read. I think Zadie Smith can write, but it was just that I also really felt like I did not understand these characters or their motivations, and so that made me just not really care about the story or what happened to them. There were also a lot of characters introduced for the first 150 pages, and I just felt like because so the first section sort of follows Archie, the second section follows Samad Iqbal, and then the third and fourth sections follow both of their children, or their children, respectively. And I just felt like if there were this many characters already introduced, it was probably going to continue to be like that in the next several sections, and I just didn't see why she kept introducing more characters and random side stories. I could not figure out where it was going, and yeah, I just didn't care about what happened to Archie or Samad. And again, the writing itself was not bad, but to me it was just very detached, the narration, and it was sort of, in a way, I think, trying too hard to be clever. And I just didn't get on with it. So I was like, all right, I've read a third of this, it's only the only person who's gonna suffer if I finish this is me, and like, why am I gonna read 300 more pages of a book that I'm not enjoying? So I DNF'd it. Go me. Okay, so on to the books that I actually finished this week that I have far more positive things to say about. So I finished Tracks by Louise Erdrich this week. Y'all, I loved this book so much. Okay, 5 stars, seriously. So this book is set from, I think, it covers 1912, and the story starts in 1912, and the story goes to about 1924. And the chapters alternate back and forth, the narration, between 2 main characters, Nana Push and Pauline. And both of them come from the same native community in North Dakota. And for a while, I thought the story revolved around Fleur Pillager, who is Nana Push's adopted daughter and Pauline's sort of friend. I would say Pauline is really more like a frenemy, but I'm not even going to get into that right now. So for a while, I thought the story revolved around Fleur, because she does figure quite heavily in both of their narration. But as the story goes on, I realized that really this book is more about how these families in this one native community grow apart from each other, and how all of these problems that have continued down the generational line began. So first you have some personal problems that develop between the families. Then you have religious differences that come between them, because Nana Push and the people around him believe in the traditional native beliefs, and Pauline gets heavily invested in Catholicism, and eventually, I don't know if this is a spoiler, so sorry if this is a spoiler, she eventually becomes a nun. So you also see sort of how religious differences tear people apart. And then finally you see how differences in dealing with the American government tear families in this community apart, between people who are happy to sort of sign on with the American government and help undermine other families in the community versus those who are not and are outraged that the American government is seizing up their land and, you know, dividing it like the conquering power divides the spoils. So yeah, it was really good, and I thought the characterization was great. I felt like I had a really deep understanding of both Nana Push and Pauline, and the writing is beautiful. So yeah, 5 stars. I highly recommend this. I just added several other novels by Louise Erdrich to my Goodreads TBR because I definitely want to read more by her. Oh, this is also, I should say, this was originally published in 1988, and it is the 3rd in her Love Medicine series, but chronologically it is set the earliest of all of them, which is part of the reason why I started with it, and also because I think I said this last week, I was thinking about, well, maybe I could teach this in one of my future courses because it's on the shorter side, and I think I might do that at some point. So yes, 5 stars, highly recommend Tracks. The other book that I finished this week is The Confessor by Daniel Silva. This is the 3rd in Silva's Gabriel Allon series, which is just kind of a fast-paced spy thriller type novel. So Gabriel Allon is this art restorer by trade who used to work for a branch of the Mossad in Israel and keeps getting sucked back into missions for the office. You know, as one does. So this I ended up giving 4 stars to. So for me, thus far, Silva's novels have gotten progressively better. I think the first one I gave 3 stars to. The second one I think I gave 3.5 stars to. And this one I gave 4 stars to. This one's really interesting. It involves a lot of Vatican intrigue and interesting conspiracy theories around the Roman Catholic Church, and then also, like Silva's previous novel in this series, The English Assassin, some secrets about cover-ups that happened during the Holocaust and World War II also come out in this book. So yes, this was very good, 4 stars. So on to what I am currently reading. Because I DNF'd White Teeth, I thought, you know what, I probably have time to fit in another book here in place of White Teeth, so I decided to get as an ebook from the Athens Clark County Library, so I don't have it in physical form here, Jane Smiley's novel Moo, which is, it's basically a campus novel, so it's set in a Midwestern university that's called Moo University. I'm not quite a third of the way into this yet, but I'm finding it funny. I read 2 novels that are considered campus novels or academic novels last year. One was Richard Russo's Straight Man, and the other one was Dear Committee Members by Julie something. Anyway, it's definitely called Dear Committee Members. I'll put the title down below, so you can see who wrote it. But anyway, I enjoyed both of those a lot, especially because I work in academia, and I just found the sort of complaints about it to be very realistic and relatable. And I feel kind of the same way about Moo. I think Moo came out in the mid to late 1990s, but even so, it says a lot of things that I feel like are still very relevant today. And actually, I'm going to read you an excerpt of what I'm talking about here. Okay, this is from a chapter called The Common Wisdom. It was well known among the citizens of the state that the university had pots of money and that there were highly paid faculty members in every department, who had once taught Marxism and now taught something called deconstructionism, which was only Marxism gone underground in preparation for emergence at a time of national weakness. It was well known among the legislators that the faculty as a whole was determined to undermine the morale and commercial well-being of the state, and that supporting a large and nationally famous university with state money was exactly analogous to raising a nest of vipers in your own bed. So I read that and I was like, oh my god, so relatable, I can't. So I'm enjoying this so far. It's not always like laugh out loud, oh my god, that's so hilarious kind of funny, but it's funny in the way that I read, where it's just like, wow, even though this was written more than 20 years ago, this is still eerily relatable. And yeah, I just find it entertaining because, again, I can relate to all of the academic politicking and drama that's going on, so I'm finding it amusing, more so than White Teeth. Okay, so I'm also reading currently N. Scott Momaday's novel, House Made of Dawn. This was originally published in, I think, 1968, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. I think I said this when I hauled this book, but N. Scott Momaday pretty much originated the Native American Renaissance in literature. So this novel is about a Native man named Abel who comes back from World War II and has a lot of trouble reintegrating himself into society, and then he kind of becomes an alcoholic. He gets involved, or not he gets involved, he gets in trouble with the law for various reasons. So yeah, it's just kind of about his story. So I'm 70% of the way through this, so I will say a little bit more about this when I do my June wrap-up video. So I'm still reading this. And I'm also still reading Henry James's The Portrait of a Lady with my friend Taylor from graduate school. We're about 30% of the way through this right now. A little bit shy of page 200. And I'm still enjoying this. I enjoy my discussions about this with Taylor. I think in the last section, the character of Henrietta Stackpole was introduced, and I find her really interesting. She's the kind of character where if I knew her in real life, I would be super annoyed by her, but because she's a character in a book, I love her and find her endlessly entertaining. So she's that kind of character, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm still reading this, and again, we'll probably still be reading it for quite some time, but I'm still enjoying it. Oh, I should also say about this that Isabel has now rejected 2 marriage proposals. So yeah, it's just crazy. She literally crossed an ocean to get away from this one guy, and he just followed her to London and was like, but seriously, why won't you marry me? And she's like, I don't want to get married. And he's like, so like, later will you marry me? So he just doesn't get it. Anyway. Alright, so that is what I either have read or DNF'd or am still reading this week. So yeah, let me know what you've been reading and enjoying lately down in the comments below. I hope everyone is staying healthy and well. I hope you are doing good reading. And until next time, would it kill you to call you mother?